Here are 30 online reviews of the audiobook titled, Becoming. Written and narrated by Michelle Obama. 1. Whew. What a story. From the south side of Chicago to the White House. Whew. Let that sink in. As a black woman, this book moved me differently than any other book I've read in recent memory. Letting me know it's okay that I'm still becoming and that I have the right to enter any space I want to. I loved Mrs. Obama before, but I was introduced to Michelle Robinson Obama and I love her even more. She read her own story like she was talking directly to me and I loved that. It was like sitting down at your auntie house and she was telling you all tea over a good glass of wine. I'm so thankful for her sharing her story and being so open and honest about it all. What a story. 2. Boring. I was excited to listen because of all the good reviews and it being a bestseller. Besides, I love autobiographies. In the beginning I wasn't hooked right up, and I tried too many times to continue but it just isn't worth it. I don't understand the reviews that give it 5 stars. Are we listening to the same book? Save your time and money. I'm sad the time has passed and I can't return it. 3. One of the best books I've ever read/listened to. I got so involved with Michelle's story that I stopped listening to Spotify at the gym and in the car to listen to this book. Eventually, I'd also listen to it at work in between calls. Parts of her story are very similar to mine and her upbringing was very similar to my own and my siblings. Such an inspirational book should be read or listened to by every girl and woman out there. I'm half afraid now that I have to choose another book to listen to because I don't think it's going to be easy to top Michelle's narration. I miss her voice already. 4. Rude awakening. Michelle Obama was one of my personal role models. No more. I respect her struggle to define herself as an African American woman who is intelligent, successful, and hardworking. As an older woman, who is an executive, I completely relate. Working my way up the corporate ladder of misogynist hospital executives, some days was/is overwhelming. Yet, I cannot abide someone who negates and marginalizes the deaths of children and teachers, by refusing to attend any service related to these deaths. Sandy Hook, based on race, and then goes on for more pages than I can count, memorializing the death of a teenager of a different race 1 week after Sandy Hook. Every death related to gun violence is an unspeakable tragedy. Equal respect, equal mourning not defined by race, is true compassion. Empathy, love, and true kindness are unlimited in the heart and knows no boundaries. 5. Very slow. I have to admit that I'm disappointed with this book. It's incredibly slow, so I've been listening to it in double time. I've been trudging through it looking for the pearls of wisdom or deep insight, but it's mostly filled with the minutiae of the day-to-day tasks. I've recently watched the documentary Fed Up and the ineffectiveness of the MOVE campaign. I was hoping to get Michelle's viewpoint on the challenges and why she gave up on her commitment to real change, but she simply glossed over this topic, only offering a high-level synopsis. 6. Did not enjoy this book at all. I love Michelle. She's absolutely gorgeous and brilliant as well. But in this autobiography she comes across as being far more racist than I ever believed her to be. I struggled with finishing this and I've listened to Killing Lincoln 3 times. 7. She spoke with my voice. From the early days growing up in Chicago, to evaluating every move she made, Michelle Obama spoke with our voice. While trying to make a difference in some way beyond herself and, at the same time, maintaining a wholesome strong family unit, I knew this was not just Michelle Obama's life, but in one way or another it outlined the life of every professional and blue-collar working woman in this country. 8. Amazing. I absolutely love this book. I read the epilogue 3 times because I didn't want it to be over. Michelle Obama read it with real emotion. I was truly inspired in many areas of my life. I founded the nonprofit organization Visions Revealed Inc. We facilitate vision board workshops for youth that are incarcerated or at risk in inner-city communities throughout Cleveland. Oh. The book inspired me to continue to value those we serve and to seek out new ways to do so. I am so proud of the Obamas and grateful to have been able to witness the history they made. By this book, it will pull at all the potential that is waiting to be birthed from inside of you. 9. Wow, what a disappointment. I was and am a huge fan of President and Mrs. Obama and have always found them to be insightful, inspirational people, so admittedly I came in with high expectations. Boy, was this a massive disappointment. I'm not sure exactly what it was. Maybe it was the poor my martyrdom she dragged on about. Wow, I sure thought she had a lot more good things in her life than bad stuff, but those seem to be in passing. I'm a thrifty person, so hearing her whining about taking a huge pay cut in 1989 from $120,000 to $60,000 to do something she wanted to do left me aghast. I fully appreciate the percent cut, but she had a husband also making a low for lawyer but still a lawyer salary. I appreciate she took a big hit, but she was still making a bunch of money compared to most Americans. Double that for her husband, and she's in the very top of salary structure back then. Very off-putting. There were all sorts of those stories. I thought he was a great transitional president and she was a great partner. I just don't feel sorry for her, and that seemed like her number one thesis in the story. Yuck. One good thing about the story, while it started out awful, it did move up to mediocre at the end. 10. I really did give the benefit of doubt. I went into reading this book with the intent to be inspired and hoping to find a new level of respect for Michelle. Open-minded, I thought perhaps I was tainted by the media. I'm a 40-year-old, successful woman entrepreneur. I was left depressed, frustrated, appalled, and disappointed. Here is a woman who has excelled in every stage of her life, even in grade school, and was married to a man who held the most powerful job in our country, and still, some way, somehow, she still manages to portray herself at a disadvantage. She has this enormous platform to be a change agent and an inspiring voice for women, and she completely missed the mark. Literally the only people who I believe could relate to this book are 1. Her biological children who want a full history of Michelle's life, and 2. Black women whose aspirations are to attend or already attend an Ivy League school. Michelle is angry. She is angry she was born a woman. She is angry she took a back seat to Obama. She at one point appears to be angry to have to go through the challenges of motherhood. I'm really quite saddened for her. Truly. She has been afforded amazing opportunities that less than 1% of Americans receive, and still, she never overcame the victim mentality. 11. Preach to the choir. I initially thought I would like this book, and I do like Michelle Obama, especially because of her becoming growing up in Chicago, wonderful. However, once in the White House, one realizes that there is a certain naive aspect to her thinking, and that is troublesome. First Lady Obama is preoccupied with justifying her own thinking process. She observes a lack of diversity, visually, that is shallow. Ever contemplate diversity of thought? The image I get is one of being parents to American citizens, livestock, human rights, or government, which comes first. This partisan my way or the highway is destructive. 12. First half is so great, but I loved this book and couldn't put it down for the first half. But I started to notice certain things, and by the halfway mark, as Michelle describes the campaign and presidency of Barack Obama, I started to lose my enthusiasm. It became too polarizing. There was a lot of finger-pointing and blame. And a lot of self-righteous commentary on her actions. It became the same thing that I am so fatigued with by both sides. I wondered where the statement "when they go low, we go high" went. Michelle is an amazing woman and leader. I loved hearing her story, but I feel she fed into the polarization, the them and us, the Republicans and Democrats, and even black and white, so separate, so different, and one as good and the other as bad. With all that said, I still admire her courage for writing this. 13. Gotta love Michelle, but this is boring. I listened to the whole book and was drawn in, but after I finished it I realized there was no amusing or funny or playful passage in the whole book. It felt like she was just telling day-to-day experiences, but not really sharing any excitement or wider view of life with Barack or in the White House. She is such an excellent, inspirational speaker. I don't know why this was such a mundane story and narration. 14. Nope. I really wanted to like this book. No, I wanted to love this book. I have always admired Michelle. And maybe there is an agenda that she is going for that is over my head. Maybe by boasting about her perfect genes, saintly parents, unparalleled education, incredible opportunities, etc., etc., maybe, just maybe, Ms. Obama is hoping to what? Inspire kids to choose better parents? Choose where and how they grew up? I had to give up on this. All it did was make me feel like a failure for being less than a genius, less than a perfect parent, having a truly shitty education experience as a kid and an adequate professional trajectory. Maybe it's an American thing. I admire you because you're lucky? Maybe. Anyway, I admire Ms. Obama slightly less now. Pity. 15. Very racially motivated person. I really hope to read this book and get to understand her better. However, this book left me questioning her intentions even more. All non-people of color are bad people, and not all of them come from privilege. I felt like this entire book was about how to properly put the non-people of color down without looking bitter. 16. I don't see what the hype is about. I really wanted to like this. I love Michelle Obama and think that she's such a role model for women. Plus everyone is obsessed with this book, so it must have something going for it. But unfortunately, it is painfully boring. I mean, I appreciate that the Obamas were boring, don't get me wrong, there's something to be said for that. Boring is what you kind of want for your leaders. I would much prefer boring leaders right now. But in order to get through this book, I had to play it on triple speed to try to get to a point where she says anything. I did not want to give up on it. She droned on and on about the most banal things like her father's car. Why does anyone care what car her father drove when she was growing up, and why did that have to take up space in a book? Then on and on with other things equally as boring as cars. Then you hear her talk about how she was Barack's supervisor, and to me that's just a reminder of how she should have been president instead of him, so that was mildly annoying. Anyway, there's not enough substance in the first third of this to keep my interest, so after making a really concerted effort, I'm putting in the towel now. 17. Michelle R. Obama is a winner. I loved listening to this book read by the author. I felt her intentions as I listened, and I got a chance to meet her briefly once at Carnegie Mellon the first time her husband ran for office, and she impressed me as someone I'd like my daughter and nieces to be kind-hearted and driven. I'm telling all my family and friends to either read the book, of which I did, or at least listen to it. I truly enjoyed both. May God continue to bless her and hers for generations to come. 18. Waiting for the next book. Former First Lady Michelle Obama was detailed and generous when sharing her experiences with lifelong relationships and how her and the family managed the cycles of change and forward movement. The book was personable, informative, and for me, gave just enough insight on what it means to persevere regardless of adversities and differences of opinions. 19. Not what I expected. I absolutely loved this. I assumed it would be honest, but with a political correctness that would prevent a real inside understanding/intimacy, and I was wrong. I truly appreciate her willingness to open up her experiences to all of us and feel as though I have a much deeper understanding of her and her family. She was also an engaging reader. Highly recommend. 20. A personal perspective. Mitchell's book is a more personal perspective of similar events presented in Barack's A Promised Land, heavy on plans, strategies, and compromises. She focuses more on feelings, emotions, stories of family and community. I really preferred this more intimate reflection on her life and that of her family, and how she has become who she is now and continues to grow and use her voice and help others. Her narration is well enunciated and impeccably narrated, although sometimes it feels a little flat and monotone. Overall, the story is worth giving this a try. 21. Expanding. This is my second time listening to Becoming. The refreshing warmth, kindness, and strength of Michelle Obama's engaging words have helped to expand my world a bit. Her stories let me understand with greater depth the experiences of others. And most of all, have infused my beliefs about what is important in this life with renewed energy and clarity. The day-to-day challenges for the regular people in this time are daunting. The bigger world keeps getting messy and scarier. I so appreciate Michelle Obama stepping up to share her story. We all need to help each other find and act on the possibilities of hope. Thanks forever. 22. A perfect complement to A Promised Land. A moving complement and emotional parallel to the presidential version of the Obama's legacy. Best read directly after the also extremely well-written chronicle of events. Brought me to tears of happiness so many times I almost felt embarrassed listening to it in public on my earphones. As I enter my retirement phase of life, motivated me to continue becoming by her example. When confronted with hardship, I find myself reflecting on how the Obamas would handle the situation, and it always helps lift me up. Thank you to the Obamas for leading with such grace. Both must-reads, but if you only read one, I recommend Becoming. 23. A magnificent book. I very much enjoyed her story, the experiences she lived through as a youth in South Chicago. A family that was rich with love and honor, that believed anyone could do anything. The only adjustment I had to make was by the end of chapter 1, maybe 2, I had to speed up the reading speed. Michelle seemed to want to emphasize every word, every emotion. It was very difficult. Though, once she was talking at a reasonable speed, it was an enjoyable experience. I highly suggest that if you want to see the real Obama, read this and the former president's book. 24. Great insight to what goes on in the White House. It was so interesting to hear all the stories and thoughts Michelle had while in the office. Her dedication to her children and support to her husband. There were moments that shocked me, while there were others that brought me to tears. What an amazing and strong woman. 25. Met a very different woman than portrayed by the media. Michelle is endearing, enlightening, educated, someone I would want to be friends with. The media portrayed her as a racist and a real bitch. Wrong. She is a smart, determined woman, a loving mom, a supportive yet honest spouse, a responsible, appreciative daughter, and someone every woman would want to have as a BFF. As a woman with different political views, I am really happy I heard her book in her words. Thank you, Michelle Obama, for your candor, your 8 years in the White House serving our country, and for leading by example. 26. Beautiful story. She tells this story beautifully and writes with an elegance that kept my attention. I wanted to get deeper into the story at every possible moment, and it flowed wonderfully from childhood all the way through her final moments in the White House. I loved her honesty, and I could see how much she adores her family and deeply cares about the nation. 27. Absolutely captivating. I loved it. This is my second time listening to it. What a pleasure to have the inside view on her journey. I also found so many things I could relate to in her story. Her candor and forthrightness, her ability to speak about what she couldn't when she was First Lady. The honesty in her admission of insecurity and fear, even as she never let her hold her back. I'm doubtful any other First Lady has had her unique experience. I just listened to her husband's autobiography back to back. The two books put together has truly satisfied my unending curiosity about what it must have been like for them to be the first blacks in the White House. I am already looking forward to Obama's second volume. I can't get enough of their story. Hell, I want Sasha and Malia to write books. 28. As a 20-something, this is everything for me. I'm a 23-year-old black girl and military veteran, and listening to this changed my perspective on life. It goes beyond race. To gain an intimate glimpse of Michelle Obama's life and experience beyond the TV screen is extraordinary. I honestly never paid much attention to news or media, and rarely made much of an effort to keep up with the Obama presidency, if only because at the time I was a teenager who couldn't vote. I was just astonished and proud that he'd won both times. Michelle Obama's story gives me hope to the prospect of education, so much so that I too want to attend an Ivy League college, albeit for my master's degree. I see her and I wonder how much is possible to accomplish a lifetime. I'm going to school because I want to become a published author. I've already written several novellas and published them on Amazon, but I see from Mrs. Obama's example that it's okay not to follow a straight line in life. That we continually improve with each passing year. As a girl who grew up in a dysfunctional family with my parents at each other's throats, seeing the Obamas live a true, steady, and loving partnership makes me hopeful at what two incredible people can accomplish through commitment and lasting support for one another. 29. Wonderful book, great listen. This book was recommended to me by a friend who simply said, "You need to read this." It took me a while, not because of desire but because I already had quite a few books I had been collecting, but when I got to it, it appeared to be at the perfect time. There was an intersectionality to Mrs. Obama's story that resonated so much with my own life in this time. Her fears, frustrations, drive, and joys alike seemed to be so relatable with my own, and I appreciated the reflection and almost foreshadowing that points to continued optimism and hope. Listening to her read her own story is even better, because her voice is steady and soothing all the while being engaging. You can feel her emotion at certain places, and it makes it feel more real, as if you're sitting at her feet while she tells the tale. I can't rave enough about this selection. It was worth it all. I also bought the print book to follow along and see the pictures of those she so aptly describes. 30. Be encouraged. This work encouraged me as I personally meandered through a work environment where I was conspicuously invisible. As that journey wore on me and consistently chipped away at my sense of value, I was given this text on audio. It was a timely gift that helped me embrace my life experiences as treasures instrumental in my growth and wisdom. As each chapter evoked tears, chuckles, nods, and sighs, I began to shift my thinking and celebrate that I too am becoming. Thank you for watching. Please, do not forget to subscribe, like and share this video. Tune in for more online audiobooks reviews.